over in the UK, 16-year-olds are now allowed to vote under the new Labor policy. But here in Australia, for some reason, 16-year-olds are not allowed access to YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, Australia has been the first country ever to ban social media for kids under the age of 16. But YouTube wasn't included. Now it is confirmed that the federal government, under the E-Karen or the E-Safety Commissioner, Julianne Grant, I believe her name is, her recommendation was that YouTube is too dangerous for young kids. And so therefore, YouTube must be included in the ban. So 16-year-olds in the UK, apparently they're a lot smarter than Australian 16-year-olds, supposedly, because the UK seem to think that it's okay for a 16-year-old to vote and then also to change their bloody gender, which we know that they can't do. But anyway, they can't watch YouTube videos now in Australia as of December. Now, I've got several problems with this. First and foremost, I didn't know that YouTube was considered a social media platform. I thought it was a video online educational platform, but hey, beats me. Seems like YouTube has now entered into the realm of social media like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook, all those other platforms. Okay, I can see why the government has done it. Social media is an absolute terrible thing for a young person's brain and even an older person's brain too. It has really destroyed our young people's brains. If you haven't looked at Jonathan Haidt's work, The Anxious Generation, and even The Coddling of the American Mind, I encourage you to do just that because it's fantastic work. However, that being said, I do not think that it is the federal government or any government's responsibility whatsoever to parent your child or to ban anything. It is not the government's job or responsibility. Although the government will say, I'm just doing our part to keep your kids safe. Sure you are. What you're doing is opening up Pandora's box of control. This is a very dangerous and slippery slope, my friends. Australia has literally fallen. The moment Australia goes, we're going to ban social media for young kids, that was strike one. Strike two is now we're going to ban YouTube because apparently YouTube is such a nefarious thing. It is so dangerous for young kids to see videos from Mr. Beast or from Jay Phantom, the Storybox. That is too dangerous. We can't be spreading misinformation or disinformation on YouTube that is already like censorship heaven. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I thought YouTube was already quite good at their censorship, but seems like they're not good enough to suit the federal government of Australia's or the E-Karen commissioners' views. The government telling us what we can and we can't watch, that is, sorry. We don't have any freedom of speech anymore. Can you imagine how young kids would be feeling waking up knowing that they can't even go onto YouTube and watch a bloody YouTube video? Now, you say, Jay, I'm all for this. I'm all for like YouTube getting their just desserts, just whatever. No, that's not the point. The point here is every other country doesn't ban YouTube for kids under 16 years old. But for some reason, Australia does it, and this is what they want to be known for. Well done, Australia. But also, like I said a moment ago, this is very dangerous and a very slippery slope. The federal government has opened up Pandora's box. How do you go about banning YouTube for kids? You don't even need a bloody account now. But apparently, there's lots of details that need to be worked out. Gee, what are those details? Called facial ID, like digital ID and all that sort of other nonsense that goes along with it. You've got to be kidding me. Today, I wore the Work Dingbats t-shirt because we are being run by dingbats. Honest to God, this is like, when I heard this on the news this morning, I was fuming. There was a video that I shared over on my X account. If you're not following me over there, it's J_Phantom. Go and follow me. Of a woman saying that she saw on YouTube videos of people being beheaded. Now, I don't know about you, but YouTube is very, very strict and very, very good with their algorithm and their systems, and they pick up things. Yes, they make mistakes. I get that. But they are one of the hardest platforms to post a video on nowadays. Talk about freedom of speech. This ain't the platform for you. Just pointing that out. I'm in no way trying to defend YouTube. I'm trying to defend the principle of freedom of speech, especially for young kids. YouTube has said, or Google has said, they're going to be seeking legal action, and that's a good thing. The federal government today confirmed it will ban YouTube accounts for under 16s, backflipping on a previous granted exemption after a recommendation from the e-Safety Commissioner. However, there will be no restrictions stopping viewing in a logged out state. So only if you log in, ladies and gentlemen. So Nathan Livingston of Milk Bar TV goes, in Australia, 15-year-olds can have double mastectomies, but won't allow you to watch YouTube. Make it make sense. Sorry, Nathan, I wish I could help make it make sense, but unfortunately nothing makes sense in Australia nowadays because bloody Albanese doesn't know what's up and what's down. In fact, good is now bad and bad is now good for Albanese. He's too busy sucking up at the tit of China. There's so much crap going on in this world, and all Albanese could care about, lies. That's it. Just lies. Oh, by the way, did we forget about Abby Chatfield? Yeah, she wished death upon Trump recently. Haven't heard much about that. Nothing. No investigation. Nothing. You know why? She's Albanese's little puppet. Little friend. Campaigner. All that nonsense. So it's okay for a radical to say that kind of stuff, but man, mark my words, if I said anything close to it, police would be knocking at my door. Crazy, isn't it? YouTube to be included in social media ban for under 16s after exemption reversed. Gee, why did they reverse it, I wonder? Why? Children and teenagers will be barred from logging into YouTube under the incoming social media ban for under 16s after the government reversed its plan to grant the video sharing site an exemption. Rules of how the ban will operate are set to be presented to Parliament on Wednesday, including details of the types of platforms that will not be captured, such as those primarily concerned with gaming, messaging, health, and education. So, right. So, why don't you just ban like everything for kids? Just be done with it. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that because then the government will probably do it because they're so concerned about a child's safety. They're so concerned about misinformation, disinformation. Good grief. It comes days after Google, the parent company of YouTube, threatened legal action if the government scrapped its previously flagged exemption on the basis of the platform's educational uses. YouTube Kids is exempted. Is expected to still be exempted from the ban because there is not an ability to communicate with others through the platform. So it's because you can make comments. Right. I wonder if they're going to ban Strava for kids under 16. I wonder. Hey, kids, you're not allowed to use the Nike app or the Strava app because you can make comments on a person's post. Therefore, it's a social media app. Screw you, kids. We're going to protect you, kids. Over the weekend, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said a decision on whether YouTube would be included was yet to be made. He already made the decision. Despite the draft rules naming the platform as exempt and the government would not be influenced by threats from social media companies. Of course not, because the government runs the courts. They run bloody everything. Government of Australia is corrupt as corrupt can be. It is so despicable. It really is. Oh, good. There's a lot of confusion with former Communications Minister Michelle Rowland initially flagged that YouTube was likely to be exempted from the laws in November. Man, these people are nuts. They really are. But the proposed carve-out was thrown into question last month when e-safety commissioner Julie Ingham Grant, she's American, by the way, we don't want to deport her, please, who is tasked with implementing the laws, wrote to the new communication minister, Annika Wells, formally recommending it be scrapped. Why? She cited e-safety research that found young people use YouTube more than any other social media platform. Well, guess what, Julie Ingham e-safety Karen? So YouTube, in my books, isn't a social media platform. Just pointing that out. It is where they were most likely to experience harm online. Not TikTok, not Snapchat, not Instagram, not Facebook, where you can actually message. Nah, none of those platforms. No, it's YouTube, people. YouTube is the big baddie in all this. Massive, big baddie. When we asked where they were experiencing harm and the kinds of harm they were experiencing, who'd you ask, by the way? The most prevalent place where young Australians experienced harm was on YouTube, almost 37%. Oh, get this, Dr. Ingham Grant. She's a doctor, people. This ranges from misogynistic content to hateful material to violent fighting videos, online challenges, disordered eating, ending one's life ideation, all that stuff. So best thing to do, which maybe I'm just oblivious to any of that sort of stuff, but mate, I haven't seen any of it. Have you guys? But according to e-safety Karen, YouTube is the worst. Not TikTok, not Instagram, not Facebook, not Snapchat. No, YouTube. Anyway, this just gives the government free rein. And by the way, I didn't vote any of these dingbats in. So there you have it. It's not my fault. Anyway, that's enough from me. You guys take care of your best, and I'll see you all in the next video.